Chris here, the Day-to-Day Apologist. Welcome to the final part of my Halloween history, a brief summary. So in parts 1, I talked about the origins of Halloween, or as the Celts called it, Samhain, and just the impact that it had on the Celts, since they were the ones who basically created it. And in the second part, I talked about the church's influence and how the church changed Samhain into All Saints' Day, and then on November 2nd, they celebrated All Souls' Day. In this one, I'm talking about how it came to America, the impact that it had in America, and how it became what it is today. Now, so I'm talking pre-colonial to colonial times, Halloween really wasn't celebrated. It really wasn't around. It didn't have too much of an impact. And primarily there wasn't a ton of Irish people in America like there would be in the coming times that I'll talk about in a second. So, did the Americans have anything? Yes, they did. They had a fall festival. And the fall festival was pretty much, it just focused on dancing, eating, and telling of ghost stories. But this would change in the mid-19th century because of the Great Potato Famine, which happened in Ireland and sent many Irish immigrants here in America, bringing the customs of Halloween here in America. We do see the idea of Halloween beginning to take shape because of all the Irish immigrants. Now, America took some fancy to it, and they did by dressing up in costumes and going house to house, and people would lay out food or money for people, which would eventually become, it's the origins of trick-or-treating and eventually would become trick-or-treating. Now, in the late 1800s, this is where we see America really embrace Halloween. They got rid of a lot of these fall festivals, and they stopped focusing on, pranks and witchcrafts and ghosts and things like that. And they focused instead on children and parents and adults, and had parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. So we're beginning to see the take shape of what Halloween is today. So by the 1920s and the 1930s, it became even more popular, and people decided to celebrate it in a community setting. So they'd have them at like civic centers or in like city squares and things like that. But though they try to make it more of an entertainment-focused thing, vandalism became very out of control during the 20s and 30s. It wasn't until the 1950s where they got control of the vandalism, and they decided to make it secularized and more commercialized, primarily because they wanted to focus on the children, all of which were being born or were little kids during the baby boomer birthing time in the 1950s. And that's also the reason why they moved it from town civic centers and town squares into homes and schools. Between the 1950s and the 1950s is around the time that trick-or-treating just became the thing, and has stayed ever since. Now, an interesting closing fact about Halloween is that Halloween profits estimated around $6 billion. It is the second most profitable holiday of all the holiday seasons that we celebrate here in America. Number one, of course, being Christmas. Now, as you can tell, Halloween has become, just huge and super, super popular. At least 175 million Americans will celebrate it tonight. So regardless of how you celebrate it, whether not celebrating or celebrating it, please be safe, be mindful of what you do, and let's focus on the positive aspects of this holiday season, if you believe there are positive aspects. And I hope you enjoyed this 3-part of the history of Halloween. Enjoy yourselves, be safe, and whether you're at home or out and about with family and friends, God bless. Have a great night.